You're watching the show that puts Mid-Michigan news in focus. This is Focal Point.
Up next, I find out about the increase in anti-Semitic crimes and what a Holocaust survivor has to say about it.
Find out how a local honey farm is taking steps to protect a newly endangered friend. Coming up next on Focal Point, I'm Julie Dunmeyer, and we'll tell you how FCC policy changes could affect internet privacy. Focal Point starts now.
I'm Deanna Sanders.
And I'm Julie Dunmeyer. Welcome to Focal Point. The House and Senate voted this week to change FCC regulations. Republicans won the vote. The policy change would mean less restrictions for internet service providers and what information they can distribute to third parties. Republicans say this levels the playing field for ISPs and web companies like Facebook and Google. Democrats aren't happy. They think that internet service providers should have more strict rules. But as far as what this change means for your internet safety right now, Michigan State University experts say not to worry. With every click
that all compiles
or download,
hacker type,
hackers can access your information.
You'd be able to see like, oh, they're on this site.
Says computer science sophomore Adam Johicknick.
People are creative, like.
With ways to get your info.
Phishing is a huge issue. I mean, that's how most of these major breaches happen.
Like the breach at MSU this fall.
Let's see, MSU hack.
Where thousands like Remy Monaghan had information stolen.
On November 13th, 2016, MSU was the target of a cyber attack that may have put some of your personal information at risk.
It's incredibly scary because you don't know who has that information.
Privacy laws are changing.
Exactly, that's my view.
William Dutton, an expert in internet communication, says not to worry.
Laws in the real world apply in the online world. So you still have protection of privacy.
Quello director William Dutton says that a common mistake consumers make is not fully reading the data policy for websites like Facebook before they hit accept terms and conditions.
There are huge problems with trying to clarify the notice and consent agreements.
Facebook sells your information. Google sells it.
It's been so recent that this policy has been adopted by the FCC.
Policy changed. Now your internet provider could profit off your information.
And the main question is whether or not third parties get access to the data, under what conditions.
Dutton says users should take a second look.
Almost no one ever reads the consent form
before they hit accept.
After 12 years.
Yeah, Dutton says that there's no need for consumers to be worried about their privacy changing. The law that the House and Senate are trying to change was only in effect for around 6 months towards the end of Obama's presidency, and the final decision is up to President Trump. Hacking is an international issue. As congressional leaders investigate Russia's interference in the 2016 election, President Trump today encouraged former top aide Michael Flynn to testify. Flynn has offered his testimony to investigators in exchange for immunity from possible prosecution. The top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, Adam Schiff, says it is a grave and momentous step for a former national security advisor to ask for immunity from prosecution. The FBI is also investigating Russian activity during the election, including the hacking of the Democratic Party officials close to Hillary Clinton.
He believes that Mike Flynn should go testify. He thinks that he should go up there and do what he has to do to get the story out. I'm not going to give Mike Flynn or anyone else legal advice from the podium, but I will tell you that the president's view is he should go up there, he should testify.
There have been discussions regarding Flynn's possible appearances before the Senate and the House Intelligence Committees, but no agreement has been reached.
It's just a blueprint, but President Trump's first budget calls for an increase in defense spending. In order to offset that cost, the president is proposing $54 million in cuts. Focal Point Sierra Cersei looks at how the proposed budget cuts might affect senior citizens.
Fresh and hot.
The kitchen opens about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Locally, Meals on Wheels delivers about 500,000 meals a year.
So today we have tuna noodle casserole, squash, and peas.
Volunteers work from 21 different sites.
Nothing pleases me more than to take a route and deliver and get out and see the seniors. I'm concerned that the seniors who are sitting in their homes that are hearing about the program being cut how they're feeling. I mean,
President Trump's budget plan will potentially cut the Older Americans Act and block grant, which is almost half of Meals on Wheels funding. 90-year-old Robert McCannon goes by Bob.
The alternate, you got to be careful not to give that away.
And has been a volunteer for 15 years.
Have, I've forgotten how many, but dozens and dozens and dozens of new clients because of if they had the drivers. Okay, a hot and 1 milk.
Bob says without Meals on Wheels, he wouldn't get his daily joy of helping others.
Hello. Yeah, my favorite part is that when they deliver it.
Mike Isani says without Meals on Wheels, simply eating becomes harder.
It's really helping me because I don't know how to cook.
Sometimes the only human contact seniors get comes from volunteer visits.
It was about the one I got closest to, and certainly not socially. But she said, "Bob, would you take out my trash can?" Well, of course I would.
Most volunteers have regulars.
But then one day she said, "Bob, would you do my toenails?"
So far, there is no set date for when Congress will vote on the proposed budget. In Lansing, Sierra Cersei, Focal Point News.
Funding for the current fiscal year is scheduled to run out April 28th.
Lansing will have a new mayor this fall, and so far, Judy Brown Clark and Andy Shore want the title. Mayor Bernero won't be serving another term as the city of Lansing's mayor. That opens the door for a new leader with a new perspective. Clark currently is an at-large city council member, and Shore is a state representative. Both candidates come with resumes that show they enjoy working and interacting with the community. They each have a plan of action to encourage young people to get out and vote in this year's municipal election.
We're going to get young people out to vote the same way we're going to get everybody out to vote. We're going to approach them at their door. We're going to talk to them on social media. We're going to use digital strategies.
As I work directly with students, and I have a good understanding of what students value. And so it's not just, what's for the good of the cause of the community, but how do we make this community serve them?
Candidates have until April 25th to file paperwork to run for mayor.
Threats against Jewish communities and anti-Semitic incidences across the country have escalated in recent months.
Chloe Keipel joins us now with more on this story.
In fact, a special guest at Michigan State's Hillel Center addressed some of it earlier this week. Meet 90-year-old Martin Lowenberg, a Holocaust survivor from Southfield, Michigan.
She did good, right?
11 million people were killed.
After all these years,
Why?
Holocaust survivor Martin Lowenberg
1.5 million beautiful children were gassed and were burned.
still can't understand why.
Nobody can understand what happened.
He shares his story because
We even see it today.
there have been 90 anti-Semitic incidents on campuses as of February, twice as many as last year, according to the Anti-Defamation League. It's a statistic Jewish groups can't understand.
Bomb threats have been made against Jewish centers all across the country. There are people who are committing anti-Semitic acts or threatening to.
Okay, sit down. I understand the rest of your question. I am the least anti-Semitic person that you've ever seen.
There's more than 3,500 Jewish students at Michigan State, and they come from all over. But MSU Hillel brings them all together.
I mean, I think we're here to be a resource to Jewish students if they are to experience any form of anti-Semitism on campus.
The center also hosts weekly Shabbat dinners and helps students celebrate the holidays.
You know, it's about being a part of that Jewish culture.
And that sometimes involves hosting guests like Mr. Lowenberg.
And I can't believe everyone came here to listen to me.
To honor what has happened.
Many, many people who perished, they're resting very, very well.
Lowenberg has two older sisters, also Holocaust survivors, who live in New Jersey and California.
It's inspiring that he's still alive.
Truly a powerful story, and at 90 years old to still be out there sharing his message. Thanks, Chloe, for sharing that with us.
Thank you, guys.
The 100 Club honored local heroes at their annual banquet. The 100 Club recognizes fire, police, and first responders who show excellence in professionalism or heroism. Peers nominate who they think is deserving, and the 100 Club's nominee committee chooses a winner. The club gave out over 10 awards to public safety personnel in the greater Lansing area.
I think that the community can do a better job of rewarding and honoring those that do it right each and every day.
Winners include Eaton County Deputy Andrew Jenkins, who ran into a burning building to save a family of 3, all on his own. The Captain Kenneth Van Hall of Delta Township Fire Department pioneered a life and fire training facility to help improve the work of new and old firemen. The 100 Club gives millions of dollars to support families who have lost loved ones in the line of duty. Earlier this month, a severe windstorm left over 1 million people across Michigan without power. Focal Point's Michael Epps tells us how a church in Lansing is weathering the storm.
It feels like a normal service.
Lord, Almighty Father, now and forever.
Normal.
Amen.
Every Sunday for over 100 years. In 4 months of the year, normal means
So we move into here in the summertime because this is the air-conditioned space.
the rest of the year, services at St. Paul's Episcopal Church in Lansing are in their 102-year-old sanctuary. But not right now.
The wall separated approximately 10 to 12 inches up at the top. That wind was between 70 and 80 mile-an-hour gusts.
A windstorm, causing what state officials say is the largest statewide power outage in Michigan history.
This wall more than likely would have probably come down.
Quick guess, I'm going to tell you somewhere between 6,000 and 8,000 brick on the outside.
Kevin Kruzinga from Laux Construction says the situation is under control.
Hey, how was that corner of yours over there?
For now.
The concrete blocks you see here and these poles were put in about 6 hours from the time we were notified.
Quick work, something Kevin Clark is thankful for.
I think we're in pretty safe hands.
But he still can't help but worry.
The wall could fall down, and if that were to happen, what would happen to the rest of the church building?
But for Annette Maliska,
it's not just a church to worship in its family.
So when hard times
So rich and full.
try to fall on St. Paul's, Associate Rector Sue Carter says it's a chance to think about what really matters.
There's no way to be in a sanctuary. So this is where we move ourselves, our souls, our bodies, and worship God.
In Lansing, I'm Michael Epps, Focal Point News.
The church hopes to resume its services in the sanctuary by this September.
Working around the Midwest winter can be one of the most difficult times of the year for farmers. Sebastian Quinn found out there's still some viable options to help them survive the cold.
From little things, big things grow. And for Central Greens Organic Farm, it's all about sustainable growth.
Here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where the growing season's typically 7 to 8 months, we're able to grow nonstop.
But this farm is like no other, with up to 4,000 fish replacing artificial fertilizer.
As we feed them, they produce an excrement, and that excrement's our resource.
And just like Central Greens, the Michigan State Organic Farm is constantly looking for ways to combat the Midwest climate.
Using passive solar hoop houses, which is really becoming an integrated part of organic vegetable farming here in Michigan.
And while Central Greens might make it look easy,
Depending on the season, we grow anywhere from 35 to 40,000 plants continuously.
MSU is constantly looking ahead.
It's less about whether or not we have an organic stamp on things and whether or not we're truly building a sustainable system.
Maintaining an organic farm is still no easy feat. It's not very often you get to stop and smell the roses, or the basil, or the rosemary. And it's because of results like this that MSU are looking at organic farming moving into the future.
Cloudy and cold.
And while there's still work to be done until the earth is totally saved, it's still a step in the right direction. In Milwaukee, Sebastian Quinn, Focal Point News.
The Student Organic Farm hires students and even has microgreeneries in dorms around campus.
Some people hate it, some people love it, and it's coming up tomorrow. Don't be fooled by this story.
And how about a high fade or a buzz cut?
Up next on campus, find out how aspiring barbers provide more than just a haircut.
Just last week, the rusty patch bumblebee flew onto the endangered species list. Focal Point's Whitney Burney took a trip to a local honey farm where the owners say they're nervous about what this could mean for their business.
I've done this full-time up here in Michigan for about 25 years.
Jack Irwin has a sweet job.
And that is a honeycomb.
In fact, he could spend all day just talking about bees.
When that bee turns between a larva and a pupa, it actually spins a cocoon, which is like a little onion skin. Got to be at least above 50 or 52, 54 degrees and sunny for them to really fly.
This honeybee farmer clearly knows his stuff.
I really don't get stung that much. Sometimes I think they recognize my smell.
But many of Jack's little friends are dying. He estimates losing about 40% of them every year.
I've learned to deal with just about everything, but in the last 10 years, we've just lost so many. I wouldn't even want to try and guess how many tens of thousands of dollars it's cost me in the last 10 years.
Now, the honeybee is already on the threatened list, but if they move to endanger or potentially become extinct, we might miss more than their honey.
It's a very serious problem, right? Even tomatoes, a lot of your vegetables, about all your fruits, they all have to be pollinated by bees.
And Jack relies on these honeybees as his only source of income.
We just go out of business.
But he says it would be payment enough just to save them.
They figure, the USDA figures that about a little over 30% of all the food we eat in the U.S., including juices and everything else, relies on pollinating insects. Of course, the most important pollinating insect is, in fact, the honeybee. And if they are endangered, well, then 30% of the food we eat is also endangered.
For now, Jack is expecting a normal harvest, but worries about what is next for the bees. In Concord, Whitney Burney, Focal Point News.
Jack says that he's been farming honeybees since he was 7 and desperately hopes that the agricultural industry will find a way to revive them.
Amber Howard joins us live now from the newsroom with a story on style.
Thanks, guys. And that style takes a little different finesse when it comes to cutting hair like, say, my twin brothers. Take a look at 2 local entrepreneurs specializing in haircuts on campus for African American men.
A lot of people do not know how to deal with people who have like black hair.
When I first got here, I struggled finding a barber.
What Dre represents is another minority-owned business trying to succeed.
DeMario Bell and Andre Mosley both had a vision.
I started cutting hair back in the summer of 2008.
I first started cutting in my dorm freshman year. That was around like 2010.
What once was a hobby later turned into a business.
I just wanted to keep a crispy cut.
I want to continue to grow with my business and grow my brand.
From their very own Lansing apartment, these 2 barbers are trying to make a difference, one head after another.
That's one of the biggest obstacles they face as a black man coming to a predominantly white neighborhood or area, finding a barber.
It gives them a new sense of confidence after they leave my chair.
A confidence that helps them feel optimistic and comfortable in their own skin.
I grew up in New York, and it's important to make sure your cut is like clean and crisp. And Mario does a real good job, especially with the razor.
I know he's good quality, and being in Lansing, it's really, really hard to find that.
To them, it's more than just giving someone a haircut.
It's like a canvas, you know, like I'm creating art on people's head.
Every time I get in this chair, me and Dre always gotta talk about the future. Because it's so hard to find good barbers, quality barbers out here in Lansing.
Just me being like a specialist, I just want to be good. I just want to be great at whatever I'm doing. So.
And these barbers are truly a cut above the rest. In East Lansing, for students in East Lansing, these barbers make getting a haircut convenient and affordable. MSU's Tower Guard, a service organization helping those with disabilities, sponsored its annual Shamrock Run last week. Despite the rain, dozens came out to help the Tower Guard raise money for MSU's Resource Center for persons with disabilities. Even though the weather was wet, the event still raised more than $12,000, exceeding expectations.
My biggest goal for this race was just try to make it the most successful and the most hype as possible. We had Sparty, we got a DJ. I've been out here since the first person crossed the finish line, cheering them on. My voice is getting a little hoarse because of it, but I just want people to have a great time and just to come and support a great cause.
The Tower Guard, open only to MSU sophomores, is one of the oldest active MSU-based student organizations, founded 83 years ago with its main purpose to support students with disabilities. What could be better for mental health than poetry? What about a slam poet during Mental Health Awareness Week?
If you were a breakfast cereal, you'd be called Reason to Wake Up O's. If you were a book,
Slam poet Neil Hilborn came to campus recently to perform to a packed house of MSU students. The crowd waited to hear him read his now viral poem about his affliction with OCD and bipolar disorder. It was an emotional night for many students who are also suffering from mental illness.
Finding somebody that understands things and sees things the same way you do is so important to me because it makes me feel like I'm not alone and that I can do this.
Do whatever allows you to genuinely express whatever's in your head, because then when it's outside of yourself, then it's just like, oh, this isn't something that I only feel. This is a real, tangible thing in the world that I can actually think about.
The MSU Slam Poetry Team Cup C was Hilborn's opening act. The Slam was one of the many MSU events during Mental Health Awareness Week. Today is Cesar E. Chavez Day, a day to celebrate the life of a man who fought against racial and economic discrimination against Latinos. Here on MSU's campus, the Red Cross and the Latino organization crew sponsored a blood drive in Chavez's honor to help with the shortage of Latino donors. Many Latinos won't give because they have fears and misconceptions about donating. Organizers say they are working hard to educate.
And a lot of people think that it's hurts and it takes a long time, or like, oh, I can't donate because I have a tattoo, and people are just not informed correctly about what it means to give blood and where the blood goes and what happens with the blood that you donate. So
the Red Cross collected 30 pints of blood today. The old toothpaste and Oreos and saran wrap over the toilet seat have their moment tomorrow. April Fool's Day means being on your A game so you don't get a mouthful of salt instead of sugar. We asked people how they're celebrating.
There's probably going to be so many hoaxes about like celebrities dying and stuff.
The generic thing is to have like crutches and stuff on April Fool's Day. So we're like joking about that or whatever, and like we were playing basketball, and I actually ended up dislocating my ankle.
I think we tried to grow like chia seeds and one of my coworkers' keyboards.
I have to prank a few of my friends, you know what I mean?
My mom has pulled stuff on me, saying that my sister was pregnant.
It's a really fun day to be fool around and to fool around with your friends.
We found out this morning that April Fools is celebrated globally. That's all for campus. Back to you, Julie.
My favorite Michigan holiday celebrated this week at a Kalamazoo brewery and bars across the state, marking what beer lovers call the start of summer. Kegs were tapped, bottles popped, and cans opened to start the summer, or what Bell's Brewery calls Oberon season. The American Wheat Ale is back in stock, and here in East Lansing you can get your Oberon fix at Crunchies, The Riv, and P.T. O'Malley's, to name a few. Oberon is available from now until September, but it has a shelf life of 6 months, so if you're looking to stock up for the year, that's definitely an option.
Well, coming up next, the Spartans play spring football, and the Final Four is set in college basketball.
Matt Micah joins us now from the sports desk with a preview.
Thanks, guys. It's the song that changed college basketball, the anthem of the NCAA tournament. Coming up on Focal Point, check out the story behind one shining moment. Welcome back to Focal Point. I'm Matt Micah. One shining moment, the tradition to play the uplifting anthem, sums up the beauty of the NCAA tournament. And it was in a local bar when magic was created. Here on the corner of Grand River and Spartan Ave, poetry was created and a song changed college basketball forever.
I wrote down on a napkin, I had an idea that this was a good idea.
And that idea helped spark a new tradition for college basketball.
I mean, no matter whether it's a team that you're rooting for, the school that you go to, in every game a player gets like their one moment. I think it's just really cool how the song and that montage and the whole spirit of the tournament really connect.
And the spirit usually shines brightest on the underdog.
I have my own song, Just How Hard You Work. There he is, it's his moment.
Making moments like these last forever.
The original 1987, when I'm sitting in a bar and this comes on, because I had no idea what CBS was going to do with it. that changed my world because they did a magnificent job with it.
Buzzer beater. That is like one shining moment.
And for 30 years, this song has captured the magic of the tournament.
I think I managed to capture the whoosh of what this is. To know these athletes, it matters to them, is gratifying.
The Final Four is set for tomorrow night. 7th-seeded South Carolina takes on number 1 seed Gonzaga. That is at 6. Oregon and UNC follow that matchup. Both games will be aired on CBS. Michigan State baseball was scheduled to open up their weekend series versus Minnesota today. However, due to the weather and wet field conditions, today's game was postponed. The Spartans and Gophers will now open their 3-game series tomorrow with a doubleheader starting at noon and wrap it up on Sunday at 1:05. Currently, MSU is 15-6 overall, and a big reason for that is the play from Alex Troop. He's leading the team with a .371 batting average, and he's getting it done on the bump as well, notching a .223 ERA. MSU softball kicked off their weekend series against Maryland and earned a huge 11-3 win over Maryland, improving their overall record to 17-11. Right now, Leah Forrester is tearing it up, already notching a Big Ten Player of the Week earlier this season. Today, she went 2 for 2 and scored 2 runs. MSU and Maryland will play tomorrow. First pitch is scheduled for 1. Head coach Mark D'Antonio took to the podium this week for the first time since the sexual assault allegations surfaced. D'Antonio sent a clear message that the game of football is second at the moment. He expressed the importance of handling the situation the right way.
Our focus is to get our guys together, coach them on the field, get ready to play, but then not make it too public where it sends a message that this isn't that serious. This is serious, extremely serious.
MSU will host their annual spring game tomorrow at Spartan Stadium. Kickoff is scheduled for 3, and that wraps up sports. Julie, Deanna, back to you.
Combining dance and drums, the Wharton Center brings back the unique Trash in the Camp style of production stump. Taking everyday objects such as garbage cans, lighters, and paper bags to produce sound and rhythm, Stumps takes production and performance to an entirely new level. The musical will be held at the Wharton Center starting Monday, March 31st to April 2nd.
It's a lot of fun. It's kind of like what you probably see on the streets of big cities where groups are, on the corner and they're performing using everything that they can to create those sounds. And that's kind of what it is on stage, only it's choreographed much better.
That's all we have for tonight's show. I'm Deanna Sanders.
And I'm Julie Dunmeyer. Good night.